deep dive. We designed this one specifically for, your medical studies, and today we're looking at your brain. It's tiny. I mean, it makes up barely 1.4% of your total body weight.
Right, but it is an absolute oxygen hog. It consumes 20% of your body's total supply.
Yeah, it's like a smartphone with the screen brightness turned all the way up. Without oxygenated blood, your cortical neurons start dying in just, well, in 3 to 7 minutes.
And understanding that 3 to 7 minute window is exactly our mission today. We are tackling Chapter 6, so we're mastering the pathology of asphyxia, anoxia, and identifying sudden death markers.
Which is fascinating because I always assumed asphyxia was just a fancy word for choking, like a direct cause of death.
Yeah.
But looking at these sources, it's actually categorized as a mode of dying, right?
Exactly. It's the mechanism, not the root cause. Asphyxia simply means there's an interference with respiration or just a lack of oxygen in the respired air. Clinically, we call this systemic lack of oxygen anoxia. And anoxia comes in 4 different types. It could be that your blood just can't carry the oxygen.
Like a massive hemorrhage.
Yeah.
Or carbon monoxide poisoning.
Spot on. We call that anemic anoxia. Or maybe the tissues themselves can't use the oxygen, like with cyanide, which is histotoxic.
Okay, let's unpack this. The notes also mention stagnant anoxia from heart failure and anoxic anoxia, where oxygen simply can't reach the blood at all.
Right. And from those 4 base mechanisms, the textbook spins out 7 clinical classifications. You've got pathological diseases, toxic environments, traumatic, postural, and even iatrogenic.
Iatrogenic, like anesthesia errors.
Yeah, unfortunately. But for forensic pathology, the real focus is on physical barriers, the mechanical classification, like choking or hanging.
So if a mechanical blockage cuts off the oxygen supply, I imagine the heart just stops first.
Actually, no. What's fascinating here is that the vascular system breaks down first, and it does so by triggering this deadly, self-perpetuating loop.
A vicious cycle.
Yes. When oxygen tension drops in the blood, the body's immediate reaction is to dilate the capillaries to try and, grab more oxygen from the surrounding tissues.
Wait, so by dilating the capillaries, the body it speeds up its own demise.
It does, because that dilation leads to blood stasis. The
Yeah.
blood essentially just pools. This causes massive capillary engorgement, which diminishes the venous return back to the heart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And with less blood returning, pulmonary flow drops, which just worsens the anoxia.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle that shuts the system down incredibly fast.
Here's where it gets really interesting for you as you study this, because clinically, this whole cycle happens in 3 rapid stages over just 3 to 5 minutes. First, carbon dioxide spikes, so the respiratory center panics and ramps up breathing.
Right, the dysmenorrhea stage, which forces the body straight into the second stage, convulsions. The victim's face becomes deeply congested because the body is desperately trying to force out that excess carbon dioxide.
Making every breath an exhausting expiratory effort.
Yeah. They lose reflexes, become insensible, and finally, the respiratory center is totally paralyzed.
Leading to the exhaustion stage. Muscles go flaccid, pupils dilate, and you just get occasional inspiratory gasping until it's over.
It's a brutal cascade.
So when we connect this to the bigger picture, what does this vascular meltdown actually look like on the autopsy table?
Well, it leaves behind a very specific signature known as the classic triad of asphyxial stigmata. You'll see cyanosis, severe visceral congestion from all that pooled blood,
Right.
and Tardieu spots.
Okay, Tardieu spots. Those are the petechiae, those tiny hemorrhages on the face, conjunctivae, and subpleural areas. But why do those specifically form?
Because the capillaries are under so much pressure from that blood backing up, that vicious cycle we talked about, they literally pop.
So what does this all mean for an autopsy? I mean, if this triad is just from raised venous pressure and popped vessels, couldn't heart failure cause that too? How do we differentiate it?
It absolutely can. Which is why the triad alone is never entirely diagnostic. To confirm mechanical asphyxia, you must find reliable local signs of fatal obstructing trauma.
Like ligature marks or a crushed airway.
Exactly. Plus, you have to look at postmortem lividity, the hypostasis.
The color of the pooled blood, because that tells the story of the blood's final chemistry.
Precisely. In mechanical asphyxia, the lividity is a deeply bluish violet or purple because of the severe deoxygenation.
Unlike carbon monoxide poisoning, where the blood turns bright cherry red, or hypothermia, which shows up as bright pink.
Right. Recognizing that vicious cycle of capillary stasis and distinguishing the exact color of postmortem lividity alongside local trauma is vital for your forensic toolkit.
It's all about connecting the physical evidence back to that 3 to 7 minute window of oxygen starvation.
Which actually leaves us with a rather haunting medical reality to consider. The general rule is that breathing stops within 20 seconds of cardiac arrest.
Right.
But the heart can actually keep beating for up to 20 minutes after breathing stops.
So the body is technically alive, but the oxygen is gone.
Yes. And if irreversible cortical damage happens in just 7 minutes, what does saving a patient in that lingering window actually mean for their future conscious reality?
You might get the battery running again, but the screen on that smartphone might be permanently dark. Keep that in mind as you review Chapter 6.